So, do you remember Wayfinders, the free-to-play MMO that was originally being published by Digital Extremes and developed by Airship Syndicate? Now, I've made a fair few videos covering this game. Well, it has just announced some huge changes. Now, when it launched into early access, it had a horrible time. It had massive server queues, instability, bad optimization, crashes. Basically, it bombed pretty badly, and as a result, Digital Extremes stopped publishing it. But from my understanding, the main server issues came from that Digital Extremes side, but the optimization or slow updates was on the Airship Syndicate side. It was kind of just a perfect storm of problems. It didn't go well at all. But anyway, I'll give my full opinion at the end of this video. So let's just quickly go over the changes coming with the Wayfinder Echoes update coming on June the 11th, or I think there's a soft launch of the game on the 31st of May. Now, Wayfinders has just announced that it has completely shifted direction from what it was originally sold at, which was a free-to-play MMORPG. Wayfinder Echoes will be a single-player, 3-player co-op experience with peer-to-peer if you want to. They are removing the online functionality, so it will be a drop-in, drop-out game, either solo or with friends, like I said, in peer-to-peer. They've said think along the lines of Remnant from the Ashes in terms of grouping with friends. This means no more logging into a specific account in order to jump into the game, which was always going to be an issue since you had to use a Digital Extremes account to play Wayfinder, and since they've cut ties with them, they will have to get a new publisher, which they didn't. They've decided to go solo. So it will be a single-player accessible game if you wanted to play it on Steam Deck as well. Wayfinder Echoes will have a one-time price of $25, but if you are a founder who has already purchased the game, you will still have access to all of their exclusive items. Additionally, any of the in-game rune silver that you might have purchased during that early access will be converted into a new in-game currency which you can use to acquire exclusive cosmetics. Now, it will have no microtransactions or in-game purchases when the game goes live at the end of the month. Grendel is the new Wayfinder that is arriving with the update. He was the big lion-faced guy. There will be a progression wipe on launch because the game has gone through such a big overhaul, from main story quest changes to the grind for new characters being removed, the grind for awakening characters also being reduced. There are thousands of new cosmetics to acquire. There are brand new hunts, a new zone full of new content, weapons becoming randomized drops with various slots, armor now having stats, adding 4 difficulties for you to choose from if you wanted to run them. They're also adding traditional RPG talent points into your progression and more. So it's coming to Steam first, and then to PlayStation 5, and then Xbox. It is being discontinued on PlayStation 4 apparently, but you can expect new content, new Wayfinders, and just new stuff for years to come. They basically, look, they don't want the game to completely die off since they've put such a lot of work into it, and they want to keep that game going, so they're basically reselling it. Here's my opinion. I've got 130 hours in Wayfinder. I've spent a lot of time on stream grinding and upgrading, and I really enjoyed it. I honestly want this game to be successful. I am very curious about how this shift in direction will look when it's released at the end of the month, and I'm probably going to jump into it in order to see what it's like. In fact, I know I'm going to jump into it. But let's be honest, right? Wayfinder was marketed as one thing, which is what a lot of players bought into. It was sold as an MMORPG in a similar vein to Warframe, but in a fantasy setting with the art style of Darksiders and boss hunts like a Monster Hunt Light game. It was going to be free to play, and now it has been shifted into a buy-to-play single-player co-op experience with no online functionality, no crossplay, no matchmaking, and a big open world that is, in my opinion, going to feel very empty unless they've added something to it. No matchmaking means a lot of players that might have already picked up the game are now going to be stuck probably running solo because a lot of players relied on matchmaking and not everyone has a huge group of friends to play with. Also, comparing the game to Remnant feels a little bit silly because Remnant is Souls-like boss killing, whereas Wayfinder is still going to be a game with MMO-like systems of leveling, crafting, housing, and so on. But a single-player or co-op game is not what the vast majority of founders of the original game bought into. They're also considering allowing modding, which means that the items founders might get to keep are instantly going to lose value because you can just mod that shit into the game later by changing some game files. Some founders have spent $150 on packs to support the idea of that free-to-play MMORPG and to help, I guess, fund the studio behind it. And now those founders packs have no chance of a refund, which is going to add to the frustration, which I understand early access is early access, but this is going to be a very hard pill to swallow for a lot of founders. Also, according to, I think it was the Wayfinder's Discord, Digital Extremes, who were the publisher at the time, will have kept some of that money from the early access, which means Airship Syndicate don't have chunks of that money in order to refund. They can't refund money that they never received. Now, I think advertising Wayfinder as one thing, taking people's money, promising free-to-play eventually, then having to remove it from Steam, seeing the player base drop down to 50 people concurrently, and then deciding to repackage it as a single-player game and then resell it just feels a little bit scummy, and there's no two ways about it. But that's pretty much what's happening. Wayfinder is going to be re-released as a single-player co-op game at the end of the month in a soft launch, and then fully released on June the 11th next month. Let me know in the comment section below what you think of these changes, whether you like them, whether you don't like them. By all means, don't hold back. Have a great week, and as always, thanks for watching.